beautiful people, and welcome to our podcast on solo travel. Today, we're chatting to Christie and Sanny, two independent people who've embraced the freedom of solo travel. Sanny is originally from the Philippines and has been living in Dubai for over a decade. He left his home country when he was just 19 years old. He's a seasoned solo traveler who's about to go on his 10th Expat Explore tour. And joining us from Philadelphia in the USA is Christie, a passionate traveler who, despite her deep-seated family roots, has ventured to various corners of the globe, oftentimes completely by herself. They're here to share their experiences, tips and insights on traveling solo. So, let's get started. Christie, I'm going to go with ladies first, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think oftentimes when people hear that, especially ladies, I might be wrong, Sanny, but especially with ladies, if they hear that you're about to travel solo, they often say, "How can you do that? I could never do something like that." So I'm curious as to what led you to that very first solo trip. How did that happen?
My very first solo trip happened by accident, actually. I was planning a trip with someone who I've gone to other places with numerous times, and we had this cool idea about going out west to Yellowstone National Park and then bouncing around to some of the other like national parks like Grand Tetons, like around Jackson Hole, Wyoming, things like that. And at the last minute, something happened and plans fell through for her. But at that point, I was so like invested in it and I really wanted to do it so bad that it was like there was no turning back. And so before I even thought about it by myself, I asked other people, other friends and family, hey, would you want to do this with me? And like it kind of wasn't fitting. So that's where the thought of maybe I should just bite the bullet and just do it myself came into play. And with that came all these other exciting like adventure, looking into how can I do this? So I started looking around like Yellowstone itself and like tours and camping, but I wouldn't want to do that by myself. So I kind of came across like a touring group that was called Adventure Bus, where you're almost touring in a bus with other people, but camping at the same time instead of like going to hotels, which is really unique. So I just went ahead and booked that. So that was like one part of it, but then to get there became another part. Like, how am I going to get there? I could just fly out, like easy peasy, or maybe add on to the adventure part of it, like Philadelphia to go across the country. There's an Amtrak train. Okay. So I said, like, yeah, that would be kind of cool. I've always thought about doing that. The train system in America is not the same as Europe by any means, but it did allow me to get to a lot of parts of the country safely by myself on a train that they offer coach. You could do, or you could do it more budget friendly on. They have the cars, but I did the coach, and I just met different people along the way. Like I'd sit next to grandmoms going. I mean, visiting like little friends groups that would see me by myself and ask to talk to me. Things like that. So yeah, just in doing that by myself, it just really helped to like gain like this sense of confidence. Like
confidence, wow. Yeah. I was just gonna say, like it's a case of your friend kind of letting you down, and most people would probably cancel or just do what was already booked, but you kind of embraced this and said, okay, I'm going. What else can I do? Like, let's just build on that. It's amazing. And Sanny, what about your experiences? I mean, obviously, leaving your home country at a very young age, it obviously shows that you are a little bit more daring and kind of willing to expose yourself to that awkwardness of sometimes being alone. But tell us about your experience.
Well, first of all, thanks a lot for having me here, because it is definitely a privilege to share my travel experience, especially about solo traveling, which is very close to my heart and I'm very passionate about. So the story dates back 10 years ago when I was sponsored by my mom, who used to live here, to get to Dubai. So I'm originally from the Philippines, and just after I earned my degree in hospitality management, 2 weeks, I took a leap of faith with strong or with high hopes that I could land onto a job in Dubai. And I still remember the moment I got off from the plane, I told myself Dubai will be my gateway to the world. And I'm living the life that I told myself, because basically it's kind of like a way for me to embrace life. I'm very independent, and I do remember the time when I booked my first Expat Explore trip. That was 2019. I think it was lunch break, yeah. And then I was doing some stuff. I was in the office, and I just felt this break, like the must break that you have to, because you are getting burned out with like the routines. And coming from the Philippines, it's always been a thought that going to Europe can be very expensive, especially traveling by yourself. And I saved actually during that time, because I've already told myself that I would like to explore Europe. But then I don't know where to start with, because Europe is a continent and there are plenty full of countries to explore. And I went to Google, searched for like best holiday group tours, and I saw Expat Explore on the top result. And I was just browsing, and I clicked, and of course tried to educate myself about like what does group traveling like as a solo traveler, and I don't have an experience at all. So it is more of like a concern as well, because holding a third world country passport, doing the paperwork can be daunting, and it's just a stressful process of like preparing all the necessary documents, running from offices to offices. And then, sometimes I've come across some stories on some travel blogs as well, that they've been rejected and that they've spent a lot of money already. So it's kind of like pushing me back, to be honest. But I just told myself, like, I'm going to take the risk. And, the prices that Expat Explorer offered were like incredibly, like, I've looked at different websites in comparison, and they were incredibly affordable. And that was,
So Expat was actually your very first solo trip. Is
yes.
Is that correct?
I went to Georgia with friends, so it wasn't. I don't count that as a solo trip, to be honest, because I was with them. Yeah. And Expat was definitely my first solo trip.
Okay. And then my question comes up, because I don't know if what's the right answer in this instance, but when we talk about solo travel, of course we mean traveling alone.
Yeah.
But is it still solo travel if you join a group? Christy, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Like, because you've done both.
Controversial.
Like, what's the differences? Exactly.
I feel it's a hybrid. You kind of get the best of both worlds. Like, all the planning I talked about with the Yellowstone trip, like there were so many steps every single day. I had to like figure out a hotel. With single, you can't really wing it. Safety wise, you can't really wing it. You got to figure out location, safety, cleanliness, all that kind of stuff. When you book with a tour group, they're doing all that for you. All I have to do is book and show up where they tell me to show up. And there, the only things I have to think about are maybe optional excursions, different things they have planned for a day to do that with them, or to go on my own and say, hey, maybe I want to do this over here. I could do it by myself. I could see if other people on the tour are interested in it too and want to go with me. Outside of that, like maybe a meal, most meals are included, but not all. So it gives you the freedom too to go out on your own or go with other people. So, yeah, I actually, to me, it's really the best of both worlds.
Okay.
But when you join a tour group like Expat, I mean, there's just so many benefits to it. And the, not just the convenience, also the price. It's like budgeting for a single person.
Fully agree.
Doing it all compared to like everything that's included with the tours.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a major difference.
Okay. And then, Sunny, I'm asking you now, especially because you're the male in the room. We spoke about the fact that ladies generally, the concept is, oh, you know, are you crazy to do this? I don't know if it's the same for guys, but my question to you is, what is the obvious fears when traveling solo? Like what are the obvious things that you kind of not scared about, but sometimes like there's that little niggle at the back of your mind, like, oh, is that going to be the case or this? What comes up for you generally?
So it's very interesting because when I start sharing my stories about like the solo trips that I've done with friends, and the first response was like, how do you do that? Like, where are you getting the confidence? You know, is it safe? And how do you communicate with locals, especially going to destinations where language barrier can be a thing? And, you know, like, I think one of the concerns that they highlight when solo traveling is being brought up is that the safety, the logistics, as well as the budget as well. So three points that I kept hearing from the people that I've chatted with as well. And I think it's because, you know, like some people feel intimidated by the fact that they go to a place where they don't know someone. And, you know, they feel that maybe, you know, a stranger would just attack them immediately. And, you know, like that concerns the safety when you go to a place, especially if, you know, if you've been brainwashed by things that you see online. So I think that plays a significant role as well of like, of especially where you're going to. Second would be the logistics. Of course, you won't be staying in one place when you travel. You want to move around, and, you know, buying tickets and, or like, taking the train, moving from one city to another can be stressful, especially if,
very much so.
Especially if, you know, like, you don't speak the local language. That can be quite stressful. And thirdly, the budget, I believe. So, you know, as Christy mentioned earlier, it's nice to, you know, to have someone that you can share with the cost. And, you know, if you travel by yourself, it can be quite expensive, especially if you go to like a proper restaurant. You know, like a meal could cost you, let's say, $100 by yourself. But if you're two, then you can split the cost, and it's really, it saves you a lot of money. It does.
I suppose, and if you're 42, that's even it's even more so. Isn't
Exactly.
It?
And being like a young adult, I think that makes a huge difference as well, because I'm quite conservative when it comes to spending my dime. So, you know, I think it's
we have to be.
Yeah. So yeah.
And another question I have is and I honestly don't know what you both do on your tours. Just for everybody who's watching this, Christy has done 4 tours with Expat Explore and planning the 5th one soon. And as I said, Sunny is going on his 10th, booked already for next year for South Africa. But what I want to ask both of you is, as you know, Expat Explore has the option for people to room share, so you don't have to pay a single supplement when you're a solo traveler, which many people appreciate. But there are many people who kind of say, you know what, great, but I still really need a bit of privacy. What do both of you decide to do when you're traveling? If I can start with you, Sunny.
Okay, so this is really funny because out of all the 9 trips that I've had, I've only shared the room 3 times.
Okay.
I have been very lucky that, you know, most of the solo travelers have paid for their supplementary solo room.
Upright,
And but I didn't pay for mine, so I've been like, by default I supposed to be sharing with someone.
You're just a very, very lucky guy, because you've also won a trip with us. So you obviously just a very lucky man. Awesome. Okay.
I'm truly grateful and privileged for the opportunities.
He is bragging a little bit. Christy, what about you? How do you prefer to do it?
That's one of the main reasons I actually did pick Expat Explore in the first place, because I would look for travel deals when I got into the idea tours. Like, all right, let me check it out. There's always a single supplement that almost takes it to the price as if there were almost two people. Or you'll see travel deals and it's always for two. Like, Expat is one of the first tours I found, and I found it through Tour Radar. I didn't even know Expat Explore existed. It was through like a mega tour company thing that brings all these started. And I saw that, and I just went the cheapest route, and I got a roommate. And the first trip I did, they were like switching up every other night or something. You'd get a different roommate until like me and the one girl started clicking, and we're like, we asked, hey, can we, for the rest of the tour, can we like just stay roommates? And they allowed it. After that, I'm fine. I'm kind of a chameleon. I could be around 1,000 strangers, or I could be by myself, or like I'm just from a huge family, so just people all the time. But I could also do it by myself. But I did try it once by myself, where I had my own room, and to be honest, I liked it, but it also, for me, it in the morning, because you do have to get up early, I was always like afraid I was gonna like miss the alarm clock. And when I usually I'm like, hey, to the roommate, like, can you make sure?
That's true. Yeah,
it's nice to have that,
Yes, absolutely.
And you really are not at the hotels that long. It's rare that you're somewhere that you're even at a hotel until late at night. You're not going on vacation or an adventure to hang out in your hotel. Like that's where I go to sleep. And like
exactly
shower.
Right, exactly right.
I want to be in that room. Well, I don't. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I must tell whoever's watching this, that we have so many people opting to do the room share with a stranger. Let's be honest, it is a stranger at the end of the day. But the success stories that come from that is really incredible. You get people who really make friends for life, or not even that, just have a really good experience. I can tell you that I could have been my first trip to Egypt. I room shared with a girl from Australia. An incredible girl. We had such a good time on tour. I did wake up with a bum in my face one morning, but you look past that. You have to, because these things will happen. But at the end of the day, that's the stuff you remember. That's the stories you tell at the end of it.
Absolutely.
And, I really want to encourage people who are kind of humming and hawing. Should I do this? I have this break, but nobody's going with me. Just do it. You'll never know until you try. And the two of you guys are saying, you know what, it's not as scary as it looks, especially not in group travel. So that's good. Yeah. Do you guys have any memorable stories to tell me from your solo travels? Sanny, I'm sure you must have something. You've done so many tours with us.
Oh, a lot actually. So I think, if I may cite like a specific, like one thing that I still laugh, up to this date, is when we flew over the Nazca lines. That was when we were in Peru, and we were, I think, 12 people on a flight, and basically the pilot just kept tilting, and we don't know where to focus because few of the passengers got dizzy. So when the pilot talks about like the beautiful views here and there, like the passengers were screaming as well. So we kind of like became like a paramedic on board, assisting them and trying to make them calm, and it's gonna be fine. But it was just like a crazy experience, and we just laugh about it, like when we catch up with friends again.
Yeah, but not in the moment. Not in the
Exactly.
moment. That was probably quite. Christy, what about your travel experience? Is anything memorable that really just stands out as something that you will always keep with you?
Most of the wow moments for me have always been like involved in nature. When I was with Expat and we did Sicily, and we went up to the top of Mount Etna, the volcano there, and we were up at the top and it's like smoking. You're like, are we like seriously up here? I mean, it was like that fire. It wasn't unsafe, but I mean, it's like just kind of mind blowing. That and hands down the Morocco experience out in the Sahara Desert, in the camp, riding camels at sunset. I mean, talk about like a bucket list. You know what I mean? And staying there at night at the campfire and just the stars. It was just so beautiful. Outside of that, outside of Expat, after last winter's tour, I did the Christmas New Year's tour. After that, I went over to Portugal by myself to catch like Nazaré. They have the biggest waves in the world, and they're usually in winter. So just to see that and just being there for a couple of days was just, like so nice. It was like a nice way to wind down from 2 weeks of the tour, and then just get to see these beautiful, huge, massive waves. Iceland too, seeing the Blue Lagoon and Diamond Beach by myself. I did a solo tour. Yeah, so I'm really drawn to the nature stuff. I live in a big city, but like any chance I get, it's like So yeah.
But Christy, I have to ask you, because you travel alone so often, and I mean, you've just shared something that, as you spoke about it, I kind of could imagine the sunset and the desert and stuff like that. Do you ever look at things like this and say, damn it, I wish my mom was here, or my sister, or my bestie? Or does that ever come up for you whilst traveling solo?
Yeah. Like when I went to the Vatican and saw the Pope, I was just like, what? Anyways, my mom is like really religious. I would love my mom to have been there with me. She would, I mean, she would have, I don't know, strong saint. But like that, a lot of times when I am by myself, like I have family that will track my phone. I'm like, where are you going now? Where are you going next? Like,
wow.
I'm just like moving, and my sister's like, where are you? I'm like, how do you even know that? Like, you're on a bus.
So everybody who's watching this, Christy doesn't actually travel solo because her whole family is in her phone and knows exactly where she is.
Yeah, that's literally the only reason I'll post pictures. Like, look, guys, I'm safe. Here's some of the things I'm doing.
Of course.
Like, I don't need to do that as I go, but it does help. Comfort them to know that I'm safe, but it's also a way of sharing it too. Like in Nazaré, they were like, you better go down and check those waves out now. They're like 25 feet right now.
Okay.
They're getting all that.
So they're kind of part of the experience, even though they're not there. They kind of buy into what you're doing.
Sometimes I like to remove that. When I'm more with the tour group, they'll like leave me alone. They're like, all right, she's with other people. She's safe. And when I start going beyond it, it's comforting for them. It's comforting to me.
The question, Sanny, was, do you ever, whilst traveling solo, kind of just really wish that somebody that's close to you was with you in that moment?
Yeah. I have done plentiful of trips with Expat, and I've also traveled with my sister once to Egypt. And basically, when I was in South America, seeing the majestic view from the top of Machu Picchu is something that I would wish, or I have wished that my sister was with me, because we both love history. We both love exploring the world through documentaries, for example, and, like sharing that kind of moment with someone who's very close to your heart would have been even better and memorable.
Incredible. Yeah. Is your sister still based in the Philippines?
Oh, no, she's actually based here in Dubai as well. So we both live together.
Okay.
Okay. Loves to travel.
So very close, obviously. Yes. Okay.
We're flying this Friday to the Philippines for a week.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Guys, we have to wrap up this conversation. But there is one question that I wanted to ask you because I think it's such a question that is important to ask. I truly believe that travel changes us in some way or shape or form. It makes us grow as people. And my question to you is not have you, because I'm pretty sure you will say yes, absolutely. But where have you seen this in yourself, where a trip or a few trips down the line, you look back and you think, wow, that wasn't me a few months ago or a few years ago. Oh, I've really changed in this way. How has travel shaped you as people? If I can start with you, Christie.
I feel like it's just like broadened my horizons and like made me more aware of like people and in general, and like when you see people not acting like you or like, you know, just different, like to kind of embrace their like curious. It's kind of hard. I don't know how to quite answer this one. It's a little tough for me. I've learned like patience with or understanding that things will not always go your way. Like you plan this dream vacation and just to kind of expect things can go like off course a bit. And like, how do you kind of bounce back from that, make it something a little different, or maybe even a little better than you initially thought it could be.
Okay.
I don't know what the word would be for something like that. But to not travel, I just couldn't imagine a world with not traveling or going out of my city or being around something that I'm not familiar with. I do tend to appreciate getting out of my comfort zone, kind of like this podcast.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. So like anything that pushes me out in a little into the unknown. I've learned that I think through travel, and I wouldn't have known that. Just based off some of the places I've been in, just doing it a decent amount of it now on my own. Like I said, I've equally gone with family or friends on trips, and I still do. But like I've gained this like sense of confidence with the world. This piece that I want to, and I just want to keep on learning. I want to, just want to see what's out there. I mean, there's just so much really beautiful things that I feel like the more you get to see, the more it just makes you that much more
absolutely
worldly. But like,
couldn't agree more with you.
It is kind of
make the world become into you. Learn about yourself, learn about things that are completely opposite from you, and how do you kind of merge those two worlds. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Sanny, what about you? How have you grown as a result of your travel experience?
Well, I think I could talk a lot about how travel has helped me grow so much as a person. I've become more independent, open-minded, adaptable, and travel has taught me to embrace the unexpected and appreciate cultures and perspectives, really. And, it opens your heart and mind, whether you're solo or with a group, and it changes how you see the world and its perspectives or your place in it. And, there are so many places with so little time. And I think, just when you're in that place, you just live the present life and you feel more grateful. You feel, it's kind of an unexplainable feeling. If I'm being honest, you're in awe. And, I love solo travel because it's freeing. I enjoy the independence, but there's something truly special about traveling with Expat Explore, if I may highlight that. You get this incredible mix of people from all over the world. And by the end of the trip, of every trip, you're more than just fellow travelers. You've shared experiences, laughed together, and banded over amazing things you've seen. It's just stress-free to travel with Expat. You have everything that takes care of all the logistics, from the detailed planning to seamless process, getting you from point A to point B. It's really a gift to have Expat Explore.
Yeah. I thank you. I thank you for saying that, Sunny. I think definitely, I mean, you can ask this question to 10 million people and everybody will probably answer it quite differently
Hmm.
because it is such a personal thing for people. You know, everybody experiences it differently. I think for me, because I also tend to, like you, Sunny, when I go alone, it's usually in a group like Expat Explore, due to work, of course. But you know what that's taught me also is sometimes, you know, you're not in control. It's kind of, as much as the logistics, like you say, all the things that are benefits can sometimes also mean that you're not in control, and you need to kind of adjust, and you know, your ego needs to take a bit of a backseat
Yeah.
sometimes, and that's what I kind of, that's my personal story is you know, just go with the flow. Sometimes you're not in control, and just
Hmm.
enjoy the moment.
Yeah. If I may add,
We
if
have
I may add something,
sorry.
Ananda, you know, by the end of each tour, I always get a bit of a separation anxiety because I've met such a wonderful people, and saying goodbye is never easy. You know, it's the sense of community and adventure that keeps me pulling back. Like every trip is a new opportunity to meet more amazing people, really, and you create long-lasting memories together. So, yeah. And it's
Exactly.
interesting that, you know, I think, Christy, you mentioned you have traveled with Amy. So shout out to you, Amy, if you're watching this podcast. Yeah, traveled with Amy in South America, and Christy, I think you've traveled with Amy. I can't remember where exactly.
That's my roommate in Morocco.
She was your roommate in Morocco.
Okay.
That's incredible.
Wow. Okay. You know, they say is it 5 degrees of separation between people? Like
Hmm.
everybody, there's 5 people between you. There's just one person between the two of you. Isn't that incredible? That's
That we
really
know
cool.
of right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for joining me. I have to say that those of you watching this podcast and listening to Christie and Sanny's stories, if you are considering traveling solo, but you're feeling that fear and uncertainty, or just kind of, you know, not really kind of ready to take the plunge, I think that these guys would have convinced you. You know, something like joining a group tour, even as a solo traveler, just makes things a little bit less daunting. So take the plunge. I read just this morning that so the search for solo travel on Google has doubled since
That's
2018. So this
amazing.
is something people are doing. Exactly. And you know, they're doing it confidently. So please, if you're keen to join an Expat Explore tour, you know what to do. Just hit the
Hmm.
book button and we'll take care of the rest. Christy, Sunny, thank you so much for joining me today. It was lovely to have you.
Pleasure.
Thank you
Cheers, guys.
for having us.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Top down.
Hope to
Anybody
see
that
and meet you soon.
I've met is
Yeah, and they should join. They
Awesome.
should join the Facebook community. If they have any other questions that we haven't covered in this podcast, you know, hear from the people who have traveled with Expat as well, because we're not sugarcoating here. We're speaking from our experience.
Awesome. Thank you
nothing
both.
to hide.
Thank you both. Okay, guys.
Nice
Enjoy.
to meet you.